Okay, so in this video, I will show you how to take a look at your instruments to make sure they are valid, or rather, to make sure they are reliable using Chromebax Alpha. Okay, so first we'll go to Analyze, Scale, Reliability Analysis. Then we have a few buttons to push. So we want to make sure this box pops up that this down here says Alpha. We also want to pull over all of your questions. So for the first one, all the AMRP questions go to here. Basically what this is going to do now is look at, are all of these questions reliable for this instrument? We don't want to look at the scores yet. We'll use those in a later analysis. And then if you click on Statistics, you'll get this pop up. In the descriptives, you want to check box item, scale, and scale if item deleted. You want correlations over here, correlations down here, and I think that's it. So then we'll hit continue and OK. All right. So in this case, it's saying that your Chromebax Alpha is 0.835, which is a pretty good Chromebax Alpha. As a general rule of thumb, they say anything above 0.70 is good. So we'll just call this good. Now, if we wanted to look at each question, you can see that 309 people answered every question. This is why we chose the gold standard. And then you can look at, let's actually skip down here, scale if item deleted. This gives you a new Chromebax Alpha if we remove any of these questions. If you remember, I removed the one question, or the questions that were text or string, or had multiple choice boxes. So I think there was one asking what types of devices that they had, and if they had multiple ones, they could click all of those. Well, that doesn't work well in SPSS, so I went ahead and removed that ahead of time. Otherwise, you do have a higher score here. If we take out question 11, it could be 0.846. Ooh, if we took out question 18, it could be 0.852. So I usually leave that as a judgment call. For me, 0.835 is fantastic. So I'm going to leave that and just move on with it. So let's go on with our next scale. We'll do Analyze, Scale, Reliability. And we want to reset. Now we're going to bring over all these tech questions. Now this is where I'm more curious because this is a brand new scale. Again, I removed any questions that were open-ended or that had multiple choice because those didn't make sense. Now I'm curious about question 19. I don't think question 19 goes with the instrument, but let's take a look and see. We'll stick this here. And we want to make sure our checkboxes are still here. Correlation. And hit OK. Continue. Now you can label it down here if you want to label it. Let's say I want to just go ahead and label this as tech. I could have labeled the other one. And then hit OK. All right. So as it is, 0.727 is not bad. It's above 0.70. Now, if I took out that question number 19, it does raise it just a bit to 0.739. So it doesn't seem to hurt it being in there too bad. Looks like if we took out question 6, it actually raises it quite a bit. So if we took out question 6 and question 19, I wonder what would happen. So let's go back to Analyze and Scale, Reliability. First, I'm going to take out 19, and we'll run it again. So we're at 0.739, and SPSS saves your output. So because I can't remember things very well, I'll scoot up and see what our one was. So we were at 0.727 before. And it did tell us that if we removed question 19, it would bump it up to 0.739. And there it is, 0.739. So it did what it said it was going to do. Now if we look at our items deleted here, we could still bump it up to 0.779 if we take out question 6. Now I'll tell you why this is important. 0.70 is good, 0.80 is better. So I think we should go ahead and take out question 6 and let this run as 0.779. So we'll analyze. We will go into scale, reliability, take out question 6. And now we're up to 0.779. Now I don't expect that it's going to get any higher than that. Actually it does, but basically then we're removing all kinds of questions here. So let's see. We're at 0.779 now. And it's telling us if we remove the top 3, number 12, that would make this a stronger, more reliable instrument. Now again, for the sake of doing this one time, I'd say you could leave it as is and go ahead and run it even with the information that we have, the way we've computed the variables. If we were going to create this so that it's published and other people are going to use it, you might want to remove these. So it really depends on you. If your dissertation is getting published and somebody's going to look at this and say, oh, I want to use the same instrument, then I'd go ahead and explain to them that we should remove these items, and then we'd get a better alpha. So I'm going to say 1, 3, 4. And let's see what happens when we do that. Now we're at a 0.790. So that's a big jump from 0.729 to 0.790. And well, we could even fine tune it just a wee bit with taking out number 12. 17. So let's start with number 17. Okay, now we're at 0.796. Okay, let's take a look here. We are at what were we at? 0.796. Can we go any higher? Ooh, a 0.802, that's worth it. Let's take out number 12. And what this basically means is that while the questions that were asked were good, some of the questions just don't add the extra value. In fact, it hurts the overall score. So not that you want an instrument that's going to have the smallest number of questions, but you want the instrument that's going to have the right number of questions. So 0.802, and it says if we take out now number 11, we're at 0.805. As a general rule, the more questions that you have in the instrument, the higher the alpha score. So this is still telling us that these questions aren't the right questions, or they're just not adding the extra value that we want. So we'll take it out. Now we're at 0.805. And I think we have successfully figured out what questions should be included. So in our chapter 4, I want you to talk about removing all of these items, and that now your instrument that I think was 20 questions is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which is fantastic. People like 10 question surveys. Okay, so that's that. That's for Chromex Alpha. That lets you know what is reliable in your instrument, and an instrument that's 0.805 is fantastic. I'll also send you a document that will explain the different levels of Chromebacks Alpha so you can start writing this up. And if you have time, I'd go ahead and do that before we meet again tomorrow.